is NBC Palm Springs.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Sarah Sanchez. Fire crews continue to battle massive fires burning in northern and central California. 1.4 million acres have burned. 7 people are dead, and nearly 1,300 homes or other buildings have been destroyed. Now, crews are getting an upper hand on one of the 3 major wildfires burning in the Bay Area. The details on all 3 fires, though, are on your screen. As the weather cooperates, significant progress has been made against the CZU Lightning Complex fire. It's now up to 17% containment. California fire crews are asking for all the help they can get. Teams from 7 different states are on their way to help. Crews from Utah to Texas and even Australia, all within the next couple of weeks, will arrive in California to hopefully help crews get some relief. You may have received an email this morning about a new ballot tracking tool. The California Secretary of State office has a new tool to make sure your ballot gets counted in the 2020 election. Our Daytona Everett shows us how it works.
Vote by mail has been a controversial topic this year.
I don't like this mail-in ballot deal.
Amid concerns over the financially strained post office, some voters are wondering, will my vote actually count, or will it get lost in the process? California Secretary of State Alex Padilla says California has a plan.
With more people voting by mail this time than I think at any point in time in our nation's history, we thought it'd be a great tool to give voters the confidence they deserve to have in the vote by mail process.
It's called Where's My Ballot? We tried it out and timed it. Here's how it works. Type in your information, choose where you want your updates, text, email, or a phone call. You can even choose limited notification hours. And that's it. Less than a minute, and our information was updated. Now we get notifications when the ballot is mailed, received, and counted. But just like a lot of things involving technology, there have been a couple of glitches. After the office of the California Secretary of State sent out an email about the tool on Tuesday morning, a number of people reported the link was broken. In response, the office said it was aware that some voters are having intermittent issues reaching the site, likely due to heavy traffic.
We have since increased capacity to handle a much bigger volume. So if you tried to sign up to Where's My Ballot earlier today and weren't successful, you can go ahead and try again and sign up to receive those very important messages.
So voters can have confidence this year their ballot counts. Daytona Everett, NBC Palm Springs.
College of the Desert's website and other web services have been down since Sunday because of a malware attack. Officials don't believe any personal information was stolen. COD classes begin virtually next week, and there's no time frame for web services to be restored.
Coronavirus coverage brought to you by East Valley COVID-19 testing site, serving residents of eastern Coachella Valley.
Let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers from Riverside County and the Coachella Valley. 456 new cases were reported in the county, and 97 of those were from the valley. There were 6 new deaths in the county, but none of those were from the desert. Scientists in Hong Kong claim they have evidence that someone has been reinfected with COVID-19. There have been claims of people being reinfected, but this is the first documented instance. The patient had mild symptoms the first time and none the second time. But the World Health Organization says there's a slim possibility that anyone can be reinfected with COVID-19. A WHO spokesperson says because this is the first official report in Hong Kong, there is a small possibility of it being widespread across the world. The WHO also downplayed concerns that the development could signal a new alert, but noted the reinfection is still significant.
The important thing here is that this is clear documentation. It hasn't been clear up until this case whether that was simply a problem with testing or whether people were getting infected a second time. The other important thing to note is the numbers are very, very small. It seems to be not a regular event. We would have seen many more cases.
Scientists at the University of Hong Kong say the virus that infected the man more than 4 months later was slightly different than the first strain. New data shows the rate of children testing positive for COVID-19 is on the rise. Children are now more than 9% of all new cases. There's been a 21% increase in just over 2 weeks here in the U.S. A new study suggests asymptomatic cases of COVID-19 might be rare in our kids. Among 33,000 hospitalized children, only 250 50 ended up testing positive for COVID-19 in this study. They found the regions with a higher rate of community transmission also had a higher rate of asymptomatic pediatric infections. A Palm Springs man has been waiting for months for his unemployment payments. He's getting no answer from the state. He says he's now owed more than $10,000. And this week, the agency announced they need more funding to handle the influx of claims. Olivia Sandusky has more.
They tell me keep checking the site, and I check it every day.
For 3.5 months, John Barris' unemployment payment status has been pending.
I filed for unemployment as an independent contractor when I was able to. Immediately got accepted, and they moved me up to the full amount of the $450 a week.
John received checks for 2 weeks, but that stopped in mid-May when he was told there was a mistake on one of his forms. After quickly making the corrections, the payments never returned.
And I tried every day to contact them, and the number nobody would answer.
Page 3, call center data.
In a state assembly meeting on Monday, the Employment Development Department director says 60% of calls go unanswered due to volume.
That's why I want to continue to add resources, and I would like to go way beyond where we were pre-pandemic.
The agency is working through a backlog of more than 1 million claims, but the director says their system is decades out of date.
We've been struggling, admittedly, with reporting because of our old antiquated systems. So I'm eager to, we've already had some good conversation and a fresh look at how to report.
Now people like John are turning to their local assembly members.
EDD did give us a liaison within their office to work on, and that liaison has been able to clear some of the backlog. If you have not been able to reach out to EDD, then give our office a call. And let's see if we can do what we can do to help you.
But with over $14,000 still pending, John says he can't afford to wait.
I don't want to get to a point of being in a foreclosure on my home, and I'm doing everything I can to work, but yet, we're in an economy that's just unprecedented.
Our Olivia Sandusky reporting. We're taking a live look now at our Agua Caliente Casino Cam in Palm Springs. A little bit of bustling action down there. I don't know, for Tuesday night. I know I'm laughing because our Palm Springs and a Tuesday night. Yeah, not really a lot of action. But hey, look at that, pedestrians. Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett is standing by with a look at our forecast. I laugh because we're such a small town and that's action for us.
Palm Springs, California, baby, hopping on a Tuesday night. Nice to see some life out there. You know what? It's actually much more pleasant than it has been for the better part of a week or so. We finally got that humidity and those dew points under control, and a lot of it has to do with this big green blob right here. High pressure has been basically doing two things to us for the better part of the last week to 10 days, keeping us abnormally hot. We were in record territory again today. I'll tell you about that in a moment. But it's also that high. Remember, clockwise flow always brings that moisture up from the south, especially this weekend. Dew points got into the 70s. Relative humidity was sitting at about 40% at a minimum. You could feel it. You could taste it. Well, now that's been cut off. In fact, as we zoom in here, we did see some showers along the spine of the Baja mountain range earlier today, and there were some showers in Arizona. In fact, there's some right now and out towards New Mexico, but we are not seeing that flow coming up from the south, and for this we are grateful. Now, one thing I am tracking tonight in way northern California, I do have some light showers that are falling up near Eureka there, but what we are not tracking right now is instability. That has also been one of the hallmarks of this high pressure, has been keeping that moisture coming in offshore and keeping that air agitated, and as long as that's agitated, it continues to bring lighting potential, and we did not see any of that today. In fact, all of the fire weather watches that we had in the area have now been allowed to expire. Still plenty of smoke though. All that gray that you see here and up towards the north are smoke advisories. Very poor air quality. 117 today put us in record territory. We tied it way above average. 84 in the overnights kept us warm as well. Palm Springs and Thermal, we tied the record for today's date set back in 1962. Thermal broke the record set back in 1996. As we look outside right now, double digits. We got that going for us. Northwesterly breeze was dynamite tonight, and humidity 25%. That's where it's supposed to be this time of year, this time of night. Next 3 days brought to you by Comfort Air. 115, 113, 111, and we're going to continue that trend downward as we go into the weekend. You're going to love it. Details in your full forecast minutes away.
And some sad news to report tonight. Daryl McDonald, who served as the executive director of the Palm Springs International Film Festival for 13 years, has died. He was also the co-founder of the Seattle International Film Festival after serving as the first artistic director of the Palm Springs International Festival from '89 to '93. When he joined on as director of the festival in Palm Springs, it was in danger of shutting down. McDonald was 70 years old. Well, still ahead, do you feel like you're shopping a lot less right now? We'll take a look at how Americans feel about the economy and if your purchases reflect the latest trends. Plus, highlights from the second night of the Republican National Convention, where everyone is talking about the First Lady's keynote speech. We'll have more ahead. Protests reignite across the U.S. after the police shooting of Jacob Blake. The governor of Wisconsin has now declared a state of emergency. NBC's Wendy Woolfolk has more from Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Another smoldering city. This time, Kenosha, Wisconsin, as protesters clash with police and each other.
I noticed a lot of damage. It doesn't reflect my son or my family. Oh, Mom, you have to get back.
29-year-old Jacob Blake was unarmed when he was shot in the back while struggling with police on Sunday, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down.
It is going to take a miracle for Jacob Blake Jr. to ever walk again.
Witness video posted online sparking outrage.
They shot my son 7 times. 7 times.
Police releasing few details other than saying officers were responding to a domestic incident that involved a shooting. And the Justice Department has confirmed to NBC News that it will assist in the state investigation. Residents scared for the safety of their homes and livelihoods.
This is pathetic. This is pathetic to happen in our country.
A situation leaving an entire nation looking for change. Wendy Woolfolk, NBC News.
President Trump shares his intentions to nominate acting Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf as the permanent head. He announced it on Twitter. Wolf has been serving in the acting capacity role since November of last year. However, earlier this month, the Government Accountability Office concluded Wolf, along with Deputy Secretary Ken Cuccinelli, are not legally qualified to hold their positions. The second night of the Republican National Convention defies tradition with speeches from the White House and overseas. First Lady Melania Trump was the keynote speaker, plus a surprise appearance by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo from Jerusalem. Alice Barr has more now from Washington.
America.
Night 2 of the Republican National Convention, showcasing the Trump presidency and shattering norms. In a display of presidential power, he pardoned a Nevada man who leads a prisoner reentry program.
You have done incredible work. Thank you, sir.
He also presided over an immigration naturalization ceremony. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in a break with tradition that prohibits mixing campaign politics and U.S. policy, endorsing President Trump while on an official trip to Jerusalem, where the president delivered on a controversial campaign promise to relocate the U.S. Embassy.
The president, too, moved the U.S. Embassy to this very city of God, Jerusalem, the rightful capital of the Jewish homeland.
Turning a more personal spotlight on President Trump, 2 of the president's children fiercely defending him.
Make America Great Again is not a slogan for my father. It is what drives him to keep his promise of doing what is right for American citizens.
And First Lady Melania Trump headlining the night with an address from the White House Rose Garden before a live audience, again breaking precedent by using the White House as a campaign backdrop.
To mothers and parents everywhere, you are warriors. In my husband, you have a president who will not stop fighting for you and your families.
Republicans hoping the First Lady will appeal to female voters in key battleground states. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
When we come back, Mike has a look at the forecast. He's standing by. Mike.
Sarah, got a live look for you right now of Palm Springs and our lovely postal delivery system. Looking really good out there. You know what? It's feeling much better out there as well. We were talking about that humidity going down. Now if we could just get the temperatures to go down too, I think we're gonna. I'll show it to you when we come back. welcome back. Another live look. This one not as poppy as it was in downtown Palm Springs there, but look at that. We got up 2 guys racing. Oh, hard to declare who the winner was, but they were both going pretty fast there. This is our Walter Clark 111 cam. And again, it was about what we didn't feel today that was really the big story in weather. It was hot. No doubt about that. It's going to be hot again tomorrow and the day after that as well. But cutting off that monsoonal flow has made such an enormous difference. Here's what it looks like when you put that into motion there in the big picture. This is infrared zoomed way out. You can still see that faint clockwise motion around the dying high there. It's going to get nudged out of the way by a low pressure system punching in from the northwest just in time for the weekend. Wait till you see what it does to the numbers here. In the meantime, Laura is setting up to do some work, and the Gulf has a lot of people really nervous right now. Let's talk about her, shall we? Marco, now a post-tropical cyclone, basically a fancy low pressure system, is kind of made touch right close to New Orleans there, and then is just heading off into the Gulf. Will not reform into a hurricane, but will most definitely add moisture to Laura. So latest forecast model runs that just came out tonight at 11 p.m. are expecting her to ramp up to a Cat 3 right offshore. Now what we're expecting after that is a little bit of wind shear that should take it back down to about a 2 by the time it makes landfall, but it's a hurricane. It's not going to follow our plan. It's going to do whatever it wants to do. That's some very warm water, and so far has not encountered much in the way of wind shear. So once it does make landfall, expected to bring heavy rain and wind. I'll show you those numbers in a moment. It'll get picked up by the jet stream and then taken right out into the Atlantic Ocean. In fact, it's going to go from there to there in about 120 hours. It's going to make a really quick trip. That's good news. You don't want hurricanes sitting around for too long. Peak winds at landfall could be well over 100 miles an hour, or between 80 to 100 as soon as you go inland. You see the darker the purple, the gustier it'll be. So talking about exactly where this will be, storm surge looks like it'll be anywhere from 6 to 10 feet. This is some really low-lying area, and you see there's a lot of inland waterways there as well. So the flooding has the potential to go in about 30 miles from the coast. Now, if there is one bright spot, there's New Orleans, there's Houston. Landfall is expected to be between those two major cities. Now, there's still plenty of people who live, like, say, in Port Arthur, for example, in Texas there, but at least it doesn't look like it's going to hit any major metropolitan city. Knock wood. If it does make a shift, it looks like it to the west. So Houston has more potential to see the strong storm than New Orleans does. There it is. Very well-formed eye wall all the way right up to the coastline there. Again, Category 3 is a major hurricane. So if it makes landfall as a 2, it's still going to be a lot of wind and rain, but at least it won't be a major catastrophic hurricane. 96 currently in the Desert Hot Springs, 95 in Thousand Palms, still holding on to 99 in Coachella. Let it go. Cool down. 85 in the Yucca Valley, 55 in Big Bear, and currently 66 in Idlewild. It was delightful tonight. We got that wind going sustained about 20-25 miles an hour, gusts up to about 30 along the I-10 corridor. It's still gusting up to about 20 there right now. But again, that's great. Compared to that absolutely still dense, wet air that we had last week, it's a good deal. 86 is where we start tomorrow. We warm to 115. Dew points will still ride in the low 50s. There will be some humidity out there, but not as bad. 115 in Palm Springs, 116 in parts south, 105 in Joshua Tree, and 81 in Big Bear. Okay, you ready for it? Here it comes. Every single day for the next 7 days, temperatures are going to go down. And by the time we get to the weekend, we're going to be right where we should be this time of year. And look at Monday and Tuesday, overnights back in the 70s.
Americans are spending a little less for a second month in a row. A research organization released a consumer confidence index, which fell to 84% in August, down from 91 in July. The decrease indicates shoppers are growing more pessimistic about the economic recovery. American Airlines say it will lay off 19,000 people in October. That's when the federal aid requiring the airlines to keep employees comes to an end. American says its fourth quarter capacity will be half what it was just a year ago. American and other airlines have offset some of the involuntary cuts by urging employees to take buyouts, early retirements, and unpaid or partially paid leaves. On a smaller scale, Delta Airlines says it plans to furlough more than 1,900 pilots later this year. Delta had warned 2,500 of its pilots about potential furloughs, but the number was lowered by pilots who took early retirement packages. The remaining pilots could avoid furloughs with a 15% cut to minimum pay. Best Buy is turning 25% of its stores into online fulfillment hubs. These new hubs will be especially designed to handle a higher volume of packages. Though all stores will continue to ship online orders, the electronics superstore says online sales skyrocketed more than 250% just last quarter. Engineers in Belgium have come up with a machine that zaps shopping carts with ultraviolet light to sanitize them. Just like that. The device is still in its trial phase. Shoppers take a cart, wheel it into a metal box, and close a door. 10 seconds later, voila, the door pops open and customers are off to do their shopping with a clean cart. The device is still in its trial phase. Sports is up next. We hope you'll stay with us.
Welcome back now. Time for a check on your NBC Palm Springs sports headlines. Angels first baseman Albert Pujols continues to climb the Major League Baseball record books. On an RBI single last night, Pujols passed Alex Rodriguez for sole possession of second place on the league's career RBI list. He now has 2,087 runs batted in over his 20-year career. 20 years, wow. Hank Aaron still holds the top spot with 2,297 RBIs and 659 home runs. Albert Pujols is only only one away from tying Willie Mays for 5th all-time on the career home run list. Reigning NBA MVP champ Giannis Antetokounmpo is your 2020 NBA Defensive Player of the Year. The Greek Freak becomes just the 5th player in league history to earn both an MVP award and Defensive Player of the Year in their careers. Giannis led the Bucks to the league's best defensive rating this year. He's also one of the 3 finalists for this year's MVP awards as well. Arizona Cardinals safety Budda Baker is now the highest paid safety in league history. Baker has agreed to a 4-year contract extension reportedly worth $59 million. That's an average of $14.75 million per year if you're playing along at home. Last season, Baker recorded 147 tackles, including a league-leading 104 solo tackles. Baker was a Pro Bowl selection in 2 of his first 3 years in the league. Lionel Messi tells Barcelona he wants to move on after nearly 2 decades with the team. Messi, one of the greatest soccer players ever, still has 1 year left on his contract. Barcelona says it wants Messi to finish out his career with the club. Messi reportedly cited a clause in his contract that would let him leave for free, but Barcelona says the deadline to enact that clause passed in June, so sorry. Final preparations are underway for the U.S. Open, which begins on Monday. Crews are busy at the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center in New York, getting everything ready. The stadium courts will look a little different this year, with no fans in attendance due to the pandemic. This will also be the first U.S. Open to use Hawkeye Live in place of human line judges on the outside courts. The Arthur Ashe and Louis Armstrong Stadium courts will still use live judges. Several top players have withdrawn from this year's tournament due to coronavirus and other concerns. That's going to do it for sports. We'll be right back. How long?
30 seconds. That'll do it for us here tonight, and we have made it through Tuesday. There you go. I was kind of out of it yesterday. I'm just having like wicked allergies, and you told me it's something to do with, I don't know, allergens.
I'm telling you, this is probably the 3rd night in a row where I feel this, I've had allergies, I've been sneezing a lot today, but also kind of just a light nausea. And I swear that it all has to do with monsoonal flow. And
it could be.
It'll get a lot better
because these are
this
seasonal allergies like in full force right now. Hopefully you're doing better than I am. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.